I'm 74 years old, and I still hear my father's last words, the ones I never answered. That was 52 years ago. 52 years. More than half my life has passed since that day. I raised children, buried a husband, lived to see grandchildren. I lived an entire life after that moment. But it never left. It's still here, inside me, like a splinter that can't be removed because it's grown too deep into the flesh. I'm not telling you this for pity. I don't need pity. I need someone to hear it. Maybe someone out there is standing where I once stood. Maybe someone still has time to do what I didn't do. That's the only reason I'm speaking now. My father was not an easy man. I want you to understand that first. He wasn't the kind of father you see in films. Warm, present, full of gentle advice. He was born in 1919, in a village so small it probably doesn't exist on maps anymore. He survived things I can't imagine. War, hunger, loss that he never spoke about, not once, not ever. He worked with his hands his whole life, construction mostly. He came home tired. He smelled like cement and cigarettes. He didn't talk much at dinner. He didn't ask about school or friends or dreams. He provided. That was his love. That was the only language he knew. And I resented him for it. I was 22 when it happened. 22 years old and so certain I understood the world. I had just finished university. I had a job in the city, a small apartment I shared with 2 other girls, a life that felt like it was finally mine. I was building something. I was becoming someone. And part of becoming someone, I thought, meant leaving behind the people who didn't fit the picture I was painting. My father didn't fit. He was too quiet, too rough, too old-fashioned. When I brought friends home, I felt embarrassed by our small house, by his calloused hands, by the way he mispronounced words. I never said it out loud, but I know he felt it. Children think they're hiding things, but parents always know. They always feel it, even when they pretend they don't. I visited less and less. There was always a reason. Work, friends, a trip I couldn't miss, a weekend I needed for myself. My mother would call and ask when I was coming, and I would say soon, soon, always soon. And soon became months. Months became seasons. Then one autumn, my mother called with a different voice, the voice you never forget once you hear it. She said my father was sick. She said I should come. I said I would come on the weekend. It was Tuesday. I told myself it wasn't that serious. I told myself he was strong, that he'd survived everything, that a few more days wouldn't matter. I told myself I had a presentation at work that couldn't be moved. I told myself all kinds of lies, and I believed every single one of them. I arrived on Saturday, late Saturday. I had stopped on the way to buy flowers, as if flowers could make up for 5 days of absence. When I walked into his room, I barely recognized him. He had become so small. My father, who had carried wooden beams on his shoulders, who had built houses with his hands, who had seemed so permanent, so unmovable. He looked like paper, like something the wind could take. He was awake, but barely. My mother left us alone. She said he had been waiting. I sat next to his bed. I didn't know what to say. I had never known what to say to him. All those years of silence between us, and now silence was all I had. He turned his head toward me. It took effort. I could see it took everything he had. And then he spoke. His voice was thin, like thread about to break. He said my name, just my name. And then he said, "I'm sorry I wasn't the father you needed." That's what he said, after everything. after a lifetime of working himself to exhaustion so we could eat, so we could have clothes, so I could go to university. After all those years of quiet sacrifice that I never acknowledged, never thanked him for, never even saw, he apologized to me. I should have spoken. I should have said something, anything. I should have told him he was wrong, that he was exactly the father I needed, that I was the one who should be sorry, that I had been blind and ungrateful and cruel in my indifference. But I didn't. I sat there, frozen, my throat closed. The words were there, somewhere inside me, but they wouldn't come out. I was 22 years old, and I had so many words for everything else, for arguments, for opinions, for proving I was right. But for this, for the only moment that truly mattered, I had nothing. He waited. I saw him waiting. His eyes stayed on my face, and he waited for me to speak. I held his hand. That's all I did. I held his hand and said nothing. He closed his eyes. He died the next morning. I wasn't in the room. I had gone to sleep in my old bedroom just for a few hours. My mother woke me up with that sound, that terrible sound a person makes when grief is too big for the body to hold. He died thinking I had nothing to say. For years, I convinced myself that holding his hand was enough, that he knew, that he understood, that words didn't matter. But that's not true. Words matter. Words are the only thing we leave behind that lasts. And I left him with silence. I have spent 52 years living with that silence. It doesn't get quieter. That's what no one tells you about regret. People say time heals. Time doesn't heal. Time just teaches you to carry the weight without falling. But the weight doesn't get lighter. You just get more tired. I became a mother myself. I tried to be different. I tried to speak, to say the things I felt, to make sure my children knew they were loved. Maybe I succeeded. Maybe I didn't. You never know, really. You do your best, and you hope it's enough. But sometimes, in the middle of an ordinary day, I'll hear my father's voice. I'll hear him saying my name. I'll hear him apologizing. And I'll feel that same paralysis, that same frozen throat, that same failure. I've imagined 1,000 times what I would say if I could go back. I've written letters to him that no one will ever read. I've spoken to him in empty rooms, in the car, in the moments before sleep. I've said everything I should have said that night. But he can't hear me now. That's the thing about time. It moves in one direction. You can't go back. You can't unsay the things you said or say the things you didn't. You can only carry it forward and hope that somehow, somewhere, it serves a purpose. If you're listening to this and your father is still alive, or your mother, or anyone you love, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm too old for lectures, and life is too complicated for simple advice. But I'll tell you what I know. I know that the moments that seem ordinary are often the ones that matter most. I know that pride is a very expensive thing. I know that silence can be louder than any words, and it can last longer than a lifetime. I know that the people we love will not always be there. That sounds obvious. Everyone knows it in their head. But knowing it in your head and knowing it in your bones are two different things. I knew my father would die someday, but someday was always later. Someday was never now, until it was. My father was not a perfect man. He was difficult and distant and probably carried wounds I'll never understand. But he loved me. In his way, in his broken and silent way, he loved me. And in the end, he wanted my forgiveness. Or maybe not even that. Maybe he just wanted to hear that he mattered. I couldn't give him that. I had one chance, one moment, and I let it pass. So now I sit here, 74 years old, and I still hear his voice. I hear him say my name. I hear him apologize. And I answer him now every day in my heart. I tell him he was enough. I tell him I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I tell him I love him, but the room is always empty. If this meant something to you, I'm glad. If you have someone you need to speak to, maybe today is the day. Not because I'm telling you to, but because I know what it feels like to wait one day too long. That's all I have. That's my story. It doesn't have a happy ending because life doesn't always give us those. Some things can't be fixed. They can only be carried.